Welcome AP Language and Composition Scholars. My name is Ms. Chalufka and you are looking at the video for the FISD Plus Introduction to the AP Lang class, or as I like to call it, APLAC. So we're going to be covering a couple of different things in this video that are going to help us get set up. We're going to preview the course. We are going to look at our instructional setup as a modern classroom, and you will briefly get the opportunity to know who I am. If you have yet to open the guided notes for Unit 0, Lesson 1, please do so now. You will need to fill them in as you follow this presentation. These are located in the Unit 0 HyperDoc that is linked on the front page of your Canvas. And when you open that HyperDoc, the first box that says U0.L1 is Unit 0, Lesson 1. It will force you to make a copy, and once you do, it will outline each of the steps that you need to take. So you'll scroll down to where it says Video 1, and voila, here we are. Hopefully you have already navigated to this, but if not, please pause this video and take a moment to do so. So this is your first AP English course. Some of you, it is your first AP course, while others might have taken a variety of AP courses, either human, geo, or world language, world history, even though that typically comes later, but I know that some of us come from different districts or different states where things might be done a little differently. So, however, most of you, this is your first AP English course, and we are going to focus on rhetorical analysis, argumentation, and synthesizing sources to focus your writing. We're going to be reading quite a variety of complex texts with a focus on non-fiction in this class. So that's one of the big differences between us and AP Literature. Literature focuses primarily on fiction. AP Lang focuses on nonfiction. We will be writing, reviewing, and revising our compositions to make them as effective as possible. And even though we are virtual, we will be doing as much collaboration with our peers as possible. So, benefits of AP Lang. You have the potential for college credit. Now, each college is going to have different requirements for what they say is acceptable score on the AP test to receive college credit. Typically, this is a 3, a 4, or a 5, with 5 being the maximum you can get and 1 being the lowest. Now, it is up to each college as to whether they only grant credit for a 3, 4, 5, a 4 or a 5, or some highly selective colleges only grant credit for a 5. So make sure that you are paying attention to your college's requirements when you are looking at whether or not you can transfer in your AP scores for college credit. You are going to improve your writing and critical thinking skills, which will in turn prepare you for common college assignments. These are incredibly important, even beyond college, into life, in the workplace, and in your own personal consumption of media, whether that's books or the news or social media, etc., etc. So, by improving our writing and critical thinking skills, we are ultimately helping to build you into a productive and discerning citizen of this country. As Plato says, rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men. And our course, my friends, is all about rhetoric. So, the modern classroom. How is our virtual classroom set up this year? We're going to be doing things a little bit differently, as you might have guessed. First of all, FISD Plus, we already have an instructional model that is a little bit different from the usual. And you're going to find that this classroom is very similar to a flipped style classroom. So let's take a look. Our focus is going to be on self-regulation, which Lawrence D. Steinberg says self-regulation is a better indicator of success than intelligence or talent. Self-regulation is in many ways a synonym for self-discipline. So what is a modern classroom? Why do I keep saying this? A modern classroom is based on 3 principles. It is self-paced, it is mastery-based, and we rely on blended instruction. Self-paced learning means that students can take the time that they need and set their own schedule for completing coursework within a general time frame. So students will learn at their own paces within each unit of study. You may not be in the same place as somebody else at any given time, and that's okay. I'm going to give you some general guidelines for where you should be on any given day, but as long as you meet the requirements by the end of unit deadline, or if there's a hard deadline for, say, a writing assignment that you need to have a first draft in because we're going to do workshops, I will communicate that to you. Those are when you need to have those deadlines strictly adhered to. Otherwise, our lessons are pretty flexible. We are utilizing blended instruction. You are, just as you are doing right now, accessing new content from teacher-created videos. So in our flipped style classroom, the new information is primarily going to come from these teacher-created videos, and our classes will focus on activities, discussion, and collaboration. You will progress when you demonstrate mastery through mastery-based grading. So when you are done with a lesson, there is a mastery check at the end of that lesson. You must pass your mastery check before moving on to the next lesson unless you are given information otherwise. This mastery-based grading will be based on the standards of the unit. So you will be assessed on your knowledge of specific skills, not assignments, but skills. Assignments are meant to be tools to facilitate you to the mastery of those skills. So you will have the opportunity over and over again to show that you know what you're learning. To help you in my class and across all of your classes to stay on top of your coursework, I've created this daily focus sheet. There is a digital version linked at the bottom of your Unit 0 Lesson 1 notes. You can use the digital version. You can print off a hard copy. If you have something else you like to use, then do that by all means. But this is something that will help you make sure that you're structuring your time, that you know who you can go to for support if you have any synchronous, meaning live activities in a given day, and for reflection. What went well? What will you do next class? Canvas is where you are going to find your unit guide hyperdoc, so the Unit 0, Unit 1, Unit 2, etc., and your lesson hyperdocs that are contained within. You will turn in most of your work through Canvas. And you will also find a option to set up appointments with me via the Canvas calendar. So you can do individual appointments, we can set up small group appointments, etc. for our small group time or tutorial times. So what does our lesson flow look like? We have 4 main aspects to our lesson. We have the must-dos, which are required. And as you might guess, you must complete all of those must-do assignments. This ensures that you will master the skills being assigned. You have should-dos, which are recommended, and this is for additional learning. If you do not pass your mastery check and you need to revise and do it again, you will be asked to complete all should-do assignments before you can come back to your mastery check. And finally, you have aspire to-dos, which are suggested, and these will take you beyond the basics, beyond good enough, to that A-level true mastery. Okay? And finally, your mandatory mastery check, which must be submitted before you can move on to the next lesson. As I mentioned before, we have target due dates, which are flexible. So you can see these at the top of each lesson within the unit. And then you have all assessments within the unit must be completed by the end of unit deadline, right? So everything is due no later than August 21st of 2022 for unit 0, for example. And keep in mind that I will do my best to provide you with the time, but if there is no time listed, it is 11:59 p.m. Central Time of the date that is indicated. So your guided notes are contained within each lesson hyperdoc. They are a must-do, or in other words, they are non-negotiable, and they are submitted on Canvas at the end of each lesson. They will be labeled, for example, Unit 0, Lesson 1, U0, L1 guided notes, U0, L2 guided notes, etc., etc. All of these guided notes are required by the end of the unit, in addition to any mastery text and the unit summative. Mastery checks are, unless otherwise indicated, independent. You do the mastery check when you finish all assignments for the lesson. If you don't do so well, we will review the skill together and you will complete a new mastery check. This is part of our reassessment policy. If you have questions about this, please just come and see me. And finally, a brief introduction to me. So I am the blonde here on the left with my husband and my son. This was taken during the COVID year. So he is actually, as you can see in the picture in the middle, about a little bit older now. He is 3. I went to Duke University for my undergraduate degree in English and then graduated from Southern Methodist University with a degree in education, a master's in education. I really enjoy art, and you can see a sort of mixed media self-portrait that I did down here at the bottom. I collect Disney dolls, and this Belle doll was one of my absolute favorites that my sister bought for me for my birthday. I enjoy creative journaling, so it's very kind of therapeutic for me, and it's how I work out a lot of stress and tension and anxiety. I have a hard time relaxing. I am always on the go. So even when I feel like I need a break, my brain doesn't want to take a break. And when my brain does want to take a break, it makes me feel guilty about it. So that's kind of a conundrum that I'm constantly pulled between. And finally, this is my 7th year teaching, my 4th year with Frisco ISD, and then I spent 3 years in Dallas ISD in South Dallas and Pleasant Grove. So always with high school, mostly with freshmen, and I'm really, really excited to be here with you guys today. So go ahead and finish up your notes and move on to the next assignment.